Taking the long view, careers in remote sensing. Careers in remote sensing, the study of information gathered by satellites, have always been affected by developments in the aerospace industry. Remote sensing specialists use satellite information to create maps, 3D models, and other visualizations of data that have applications in numerous industries and disciplines. Which choice introduces the passage most effectively? So let's come back to this question after we have read a little more. Uses for remote sensing has become more plentiful as technology has progressed, as NASA scientist Helen Stewart can attest. Now here I need to decide the correct verb, and the subject for this verb is uses, which is plural. And so the verb also has to be plural. So it can't be has become or becomes, because both of these are singular verbs. Have become is correct. Uses for remote sensing have become more plentiful. So this is good. And will have become is future perfect tense, which doesn't make sense because the paragraph is in the present tense. So C. Stewart is the manager of mission operations and ground data systems for NASA's Interface Region Imaging Spectrograph, launched in 2013 to gather information about the lowest level of the sun's outer atmosphere or chromosphere, the primary source of Earth's ultraviolet radiation. The IRIS satellite contains a spectrograph, a camera that captures the physical signatures of light in the form of spectra. These spectra are then modeled and analyzed on NASA's supercomputers to provide insight into the processes that shape and heat the chromosphere. So here we can see that this full stop is wrong because this has to be a continuous sentence. So option A is wrong. So just saying that these spectra are modeled and analyzed on NASA supercomputers to provide insight into the processes, that should be the right answer. Now, if I'm saying that these spectra are modeled and analyzed on NASA supercomputers, then that is done to provide insight, right? So this is a connected segment. So this and is not required here. And the semicolon is wrong because just as a full stop can't come here, a semicolon also can't come here because this part is not an independent sentence. So B. Stewart and her team will use the simulations of IRIS data to gain a better understanding of the chromosphere and its effect on Earth's atmosphere. Remote sensing also serves important functions back on Earth, as illustrated by the work of remote sensing specialist Karen Schuckman, who was involved in the North Carolina floodplain mapping program. The program employed light detection and ranging, LiDAR technology, and which uses lasers from satellites to measure distances to Earth and induce highly accurate topographical maps to assess floodplain boundaries. Now here I'm talking about the program employs light detection and ranging technology, and then I'm describing the technology which uses lasers. So this and is not correct. Now, if I say that uses lasers, then I cannot use a colon here because I'm again defining the technology. So the colon here would create an expectation for some detail, not a definition. So not B. If I put a comma and say it uses lasers, then I'm creating two independent sentences, and I can't put a comma between two independent sentences. So D is the best answer. I can simply say the program employed LiDAR, which uses lasers from satellites to measure distances to Earth, and induce highly accurate topographical maps. Now I'm basically saying that this program creates highly accurate topographical maps, right? So induce would not be the best sense in this context. Induce is used to mean to bring about, right? For example, your talk induced him to take action. So it can't be used in the context of creating maps. Accomplish is used in the context of a success. For example, he accomplished this victory on the back of great hard work. So that also doesn't fit the context. Generate is good. To generate accurate maps is to create those maps. So that fits the context. And cause doesn't fit the context because we're not talking about causing these maps, right? So C is the best answer. Schuckman combined them with field data to create forecast maps that predict which areas among those that Schuckman surveyed are likely to flood hours or even days before the flooding occurs. Now, here, this them is somewhat ambiguous because I have so many nouns in the previous sentence. I'm saying that LiDAR uses lasers from satellites to measure distances to Earth. I'm saying that Schuckman generated highly accurate maps, and then she assessed floodplain boundaries. So when I say that Schuckman combined them, I'm basically talking about maps, right? She combined these maps with field data to create forecast maps that predict which areas are likely to flood. So I should say the map so that there is no confusion about what them refers to. So Schuckman combined these maps of the floodplains, right? She didn't combine the floodplains. Obviously, she can't do that. She can only work with maps. And those is ambiguous as well. So B is the best answer. She combined these maps of the floodplains with field data to create forecast maps. Now, forecast maps that predict which areas among those that Schuckman surveyed. Now, this is redundant because I know that she surveyed these areas, right? So obviously the maps are of the areas that she surveyed. So this is unnecessarily long and is not needed. So to predict which areas are likely to flood, simply saying that will convey the meaning. So A is wrong. Which areas have a good chance of experiencing flooding and probably will. Again, this is redundant. If it has a good chance of experiencing flooding, then that means that it probably will flood, right? So this is redundant. Also, I can say the same thing, good chance of experiencing flooding in a shorter way by saying likely to flood. So this is better. And which areas and zones are likely to see flooding happen? So again, zones is redundant because I'm already saying areas. And likely to flood is concise compared to likely to see flooding happen. So D is the best answer. Schuckman teaches remote sensing at Pennsylvania State University. Which choice best concludes the paragraph? Such data help state officials anticipate the extent of flooding and make decisions about any necessary, potentially life-saving preparations. Many companies use satellite-based technology in their own research and for projects they facilitate for state and federal governments. Therefore, LiDAR technology also has multiple applications in other fields such as forestry and oceanography. So this is B, right? Because right in the previous sentence, I'm talking about the availability of data through Schuckman's work that tells you how or when flooding can happen. And then that data can help state officials anticipate the extent of damage. So that fits. The fact that Schuckman teaches remote sensing at Pennsylvania State University, that's not relevant to the focus of the paragraph. So it's not A. What other companies are doing with this technology, that's not a good conclusion to this paragraph. And where else is LiDAR used apart from in this particular case is also not relevant here. So B. Research on remote sensing suggests the field will continue to expand rapidly. A 2012 report by Northern Sky Research about satellite data and other remote sensing services, for example, projected that overall growth would be relatively slow between 2011 and 2015, with the size of the market increasing from about $2 to $3 billion, but that the field would grow much more quickly after 2015, with the exception of 2019. Okay. Now, which choice is best supported by information in the graph? So here we are looking at market size for data and services in global satellite Earth observations. So you can see that it is showing an increasing curve, right? Whether it's government, industry, or defense, it is showing an increase in the market size. So the field will continue to expand rapidly. That's the first option. A dramatic increase in the salaries remote sensing specialists will earn. The field will incorporate new sources of information that supplement satellite data. Budget constraints will have a powerful influence on the field. So, this is A because the graph is not talking about salaries or new sources of information or budget constraints, right? So, the graph is only relevant to the expansion in the field. So, it's option A. Okay, now the field will grow much more quickly after 2015. That's what the next part is saying, that the growth between 2011 to 2015 will be between 2 and 3 billion dollars, and then it will grow rapidly, right? With the exception of 2019. So that clearly is not correct because even in 2019 it's increasing. Which choice best supports the writer's claim from earlier in the sentence with an accurate interpretation of the data in the graph? Becoming a market of over $6 billion by 2021, despite some predicted fluctuation, increasing by another $2 billion over the next 6 years. Okay, so you can see that A and C are definitely wrong because in 2019, the market has not slowed down and there are no fluctuations. It's showing a constant increase. Now, to become a market of over $6 billion by 2021 is true. So I like option B. And if I say that it increases by another $2 billion over the next 6 years, so in 2015, I was at 3, and another 6 years, $2 billion would be 5. But it's actually more than that. It's over 6. So B is the best answer. Although spending on defense and intelligence applications is expected to grow overall, its contribution to the market is forecast to be outpaced by that of spending on non-defense and non-government services. With so many potential applications and more on the horizon, remote sensing promises a wide range of career opportunities. Now, I need to decide the punctuation here, and this is the main sentence. So remote sensing is the subject and it promises a wide range of career opportunities. That's the predicate. So this comma is not needed because after the verb and before the object, you don't need any punctuation. So option C should be the best answer, doesn't have a comma. Okay, you can only have a colon at the end of a complete sentence. So this is wrong. And this dash after range is not required. You can simply say a wide range of career opportunities. So C. Okay, let's look at the first question. Introduction to the passage. Careers in remote sensing have always been affected by developments in the aerospace industry. Okay, the development of artificial satellites in the second half of the 20th century was crucial to the global expansion of remote sensing technology. Okay, remote sensing, interpreting information captured by satellites that comes from Earth or from space, is a career field that offers a variety of options and opportunities. And at most universities around the world, the discipline of remote sensing has traditionally been taught with geography departments. So this is C, right? The focus of the passage is on careers in remote sensing. That's exactly what the passage talks about. So introducing the passage with a definition of remote sensing and then talking about a career field that offers a variety of opportunities is the best way to introduce it. Now, the fact that this sector has been affected by developments in the aerospace industry, that's not something that has been elaborated on in the passage. The passage basically talks about the scientific advancements that have led to career opportunities in remote sensing. So this is not something which provides a good introduction. So it's not A. This is a historical overview of remote sensing. So again, not related to career opportunities. So not B. And this is about how it is taught at university. So again, not relevant to career opportunities. So C is the best answer. Let's grade this. 23. CCBDCB, CCBDCB, okay, and 29. DBABC, DBABC. Okay, great. So we got all correct.